One of my favorite films of all time. Julianne Moore, Steve Buscemi, John Goodman, Jeff Bridges, the Coen brothers production, 1998, The Big Lebowski. I have actually put off for some time doing a review of The Big Lebowski. It's definitely in my top 10, maybe top 5 or 6 of all-time films. The Coen brothers movies are pretty much all entertaining, although Oh Brother, Where Art Thou and The Big Lebowski are definitely both in my top 10 or 5 or 6. I should make a list sometime and do a video of that. But they're right up there with my favorite movies of all time. One of the reasons I have put off for so long recording a review of The Big Lebowski, despite using this channel now for almost a couple of years, I don't know exactly what to say about it. It's not something that is easily analyzed. It's an incredible story that is hilarious and funny, and there's something artistic about the way that it's delivered that is just right on the money. John Goodman's character, Walter Sobchak, is so socially awkward and inept, and he's so weird, and that's generally something I don't like. For example, Vince Vaughn played that character in several different movies that the whole point was that he was irritatingly oddball. And I can't stand watching those. It is cringeworthy in the parlance of our times when Vince Vaughn does that. I just don't care for that. But The Big Lebowski is funny from beginning to end. It's bizarrely funny. It flows from scene to scene with this sort of artistry, and you just can't look away. I've watched it so many times. I know most of the dialogue. It's quotable. Again, being in my top several movies, it's like Star Trek for me, classic Trek as a kid. I still remember the lines and I can deliver them. The Big Lebowski I just love it. And here I am fumbling over myself. This is why I hadn't recorded a review before. The comedy is absolutely right on. Everybody, the nihilist, Jackie Treehorn, the sheriff, everybody, Julianne Moore, everyone nails their roles and they deliver everything. Everything opens and closes each scene with it pops, and everything is delivered right on. In fact, the only thing that I have ever had a complaint about the movie, having just watched it again last night, is the completely over-the-top profligate use of the F word. It is an odd movie for me to recommend because I usually don't like things that are that profane, and yet The Big Lebowski is a fabulous movie. So a quick footnote, honestly, I don't know if in some bizarre meta sense the Coen brothers were trying to make a commentary about overuse of the F word in our culture. I doubt it. I feel like I'm reading into that. But there are more uses of the F word than there are dead bodies of people killed by Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando. And if you've ever tried to count them by pausing it on your VCR, giving away my age, you know that that is a lot. And in fact, most of them are completely unnecessary. I mean, yeah, okay, I try not to use those words, fine. But I do understand that in the real world that there are people that are doing that, especially maybe at a bowling alley. In action movies, when people are being shot at in a life-threatening situation, I understand that it would seem odd for them not to use a naughty word when they're fighting for their life. But The Big Lebowski uses it so frequently for no reason in the middle of sentences, though it does have, our narrator, our fourth wall breaking narrator, Sam Elliott, the cowboy, actually addresses it at one point. So I'm not sure, again, if they were trying to make a statement or they were just overusing it because it was there. But most of the memorable, really funny stuff of The Big Lebowski didn't actually need that to be pulled off. Incredible scenes with the nihilist, what happens with Jackie Treehorn, the sheriff, the whole interaction between which oddly enough most people miss, The Big Lebowski is named after the guy in the wheelchair, not Jeffrey Lebowski, the hippie bowler that we meet. We always equate him, but the only one in the movie that is called the Big Lebowski is when Jeff Lebowski, our hippie, says it about the guy, the other Jeffrey Lebowski, who was in a wheelchair, by the way. But everybody does such a fabulous job, and everything comes together so well, and everything's delivered so smooth that it's impossible for me to actually define. The nature of the plot is such that I can't be like, they did this really well, they brought out this emotional conundrum, or they solved this moral issue. It's the Big Lebowski. And yet there is a ton of stuff in it. You know, the rich guy who's arrogant. He's so arrogant that he has this trophy wife who's actually a porn star, who's a nympho. There's all of these sort of moral quandaries these folks get themselves into. And, you know, Lebowski himself is sort of disconnected from the world. He's unemployed. He likes to bowl. He's an aging hippie that doesn't really engage in much, but the world keeps pulling him in, and he ends up in this sort of life or death, allegedly, conspiracy over money, over power, over safety, through no fault of his own, really, except the happenstance that he happened to have the same name as the rich man in the wheelchair. So there's little things in there, but I don't know how to define exactly why it's so wonderful, and yet it has an incredible soundtrack, it has incredible artistry, it is so funny, and it is so quotable, and I could watch it a million times, and maybe I'll go watch it again. I similarly have difficulty summing up Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Why that's so great, but I love that one also. So I may try to tackle that soon. But I had to take a break after just watching Lebowski last night again to say, I love the Big Lebowski. Watch it. Expect if you go watch it that there's a lot of F words, but there's so much funny stuff in it. Anyway, if you've seen Lebowski, let me know what you think below, and I will see you next time.